Greetings and welcome to the show. Today is December 26, 2022. Let me start by saying that I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. This information is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only. Today is the day after Christmas. Markets are closed in the U.S. All major U.S. stock markets will be closed on Monday, December 26th for Christmas holiday. So Merry Christmas, everyone. It's the day after Christmas, and for the people in the UK and the Commonwealth, Happy Boxing Day. Boxing Day is the day after Christmas, which is celebrated in the UK. Traditionally, people go shopping, do whatever. I don't know what they do. I'm an American, so I don't really know what goes on in Boxing Day, but I do know it's Boxing Day, so Happy Boxing Day. Today, of course, as in the past videos, I will be talking about what was stock symbol MMTLP and what has should become and what has become NextBridgeHydrocarbons, which is a private company. Okay, if you don't know what any of this stuff is about, that's okay. I will not go over this in that video. If you want to find out what this video is about, stop and go back in time and watch these two videos. Links will be provided, of course. MMTLP FINRA fraud fiasco continues on Monday. That'll tell you exactly what has been going on. That is completely outrageous. And MMTLP, the story is coming to a close. We'll tell you about stock symbol MMTLP and NextBridgeHydrocarbons. And from there will be links where you can go to in-depth more details, probably more than you care to know, about stock symbol MMTLP, about NextBridgeHydrocarbons, the private company, about the 3.2 billion barrels of oil in West Texas near El Paso, and what those 3.2 billion barrels of oil mean. Okay, so there's a lot. There's a lot that's going on in there, and I won't be going over that, but I will provide you with links in the description where you can actually find out for yourself what's going on with that. So I'm going to just move forward with what this video is about. So this particular video is mostly about perspective and understanding perspective. So I think that it's important to understand the lens of perspective and the point of view is the way I look at it. I recently attended a Meta Twitter Spaces chat with the Meta family and with Syntaxed 007. She hosted it, the Meta fam chat. Thank you, Syntaxed. Great Meta fam chat, and you're doing amazing things that only you can do, basically, because you are the glue that holds together the entire Meta family. People come in and they'll talk to you, and you'll connect people with other people and get everyone to a common level of understanding. So that's pretty cool. Thank you, Syntaxed. Anyway, so part of what I want to talk about today was understanding the lens of perspective and the point of view. So I'm going to start with a picture. This is a picture taken of me at a particular location. That's what I look like, right? At the same exact location, I took this photo, right? Slightly different perspective here. First photo, gray skies, trees. Different photo, water, some laid back chairs so you can lay back. But these two photos are taken at the same exact location, minutes apart. Okay. Same exact location, minutes apart. As you can tell, I'm not dressed very well. Anyway, but there's a different outlook based upon perspective, right? I mean, just put the photos right next to each other. They look different, right? Same person, different perspective. That's all I'm saying. So there's an old saying that comes up about with perspective, and the saying goes, "When you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail." Okay. But I think there's an addendum or corollary to that saying. It's sometimes you see these funny things called screws, but if you're treat a screw like a nail, you might not get what you think you're supposed to get. So basically what that means to me is that your understanding of the world will come from where you've been, right? what you've seen, what you've experienced, what you know, what your life view has, what you've spent your life doing. So every single person will tell you what they think the situation is in all, for any given situation. They'll tell you what they know, right? And that's based upon where they've been, myself included, right? I will tell you what I know, but it's based upon my own history, my own perspective, right? So just be aware of that, and take all information in and understand where that information comes from. The perspective part of information is very important. And it's important to know the context, and it's important to know where that perspective comes from. For instance, if you were to talk to your broker about stock symbol MMTLP, you may find that you may know more than your broker, because your broker may not be familiar with the intricate details of what's going on, because you may have become specialized in the knowledge of what exactly went on with the U3 Halt, with the rumors of the fact that there is a very large short position which cannot be actually closed. Your broker is not going to tell you that. If there's a short position, if there's a huge short position that's greater than the number of shares, they're not going to tell you that, because as far as they're concerned, that shouldn't be, and it's not their place to tell you what a possible rumor is, right? They're not going to tell you about rumors and speculations, right? And that's what I can do, right? I can tell you about rumors. I can tell you about speculations. I can tell you about things because I don't know. I am what's called an outsider. I have a freedom to tell you things about possibilities and things that may be happening, because I don't know for certain that they are happening, right? And that's the freedom I have of being an outsider. If I knew the exact amount of shares that were sold, I wouldn't, I probably wouldn't be able to tell you that. That would be a certain amount of information that I would have that no one else would have, that that might be considered, I don't know, whatever. But I may not be legally allowed to tell you things, right? If I worked at Metamaterials, if I worked at NextBridgeHydrocarbons, there are likely things that I would find out or know that I could not disclose with you. So I have a unique perspective. I have a large amount of freedom because I'm an outsider, and I can share my freedom and my speculations with you. And that's what I do, right? So, my lack of knowledge actually gives me the freedom to speculate about these possibilities. Whereas if I knew things for certain, I probably wouldn't be able to disclose them, because, that's material information that is not available to the general public or whatever like that, right? And I would have to go through, scrutiny and all that before I can talk to you about it. But because I don't know anything, I can talk to you about anything. I can talk to you about, what I think may happen, what I think may not happen. Who knows? It's a freedom that actually comes from lack of knowledge, and if we think about it, I mean, we know that John Berta recently quit his positions at Metamaterials and NextBridgeHydrocarbons. He was an advisor to them because he wanted the freedom to be able to speak his mind without having to go through channels to say, hey, look, am I allowed to talk about this? Am I allowed to talk about that? Whatever, right? So he chose freedom because he felt that was more important for the overall situation, and he felt he could do more good by having freedom. That says a lot to me, right? That says a lot. That should say a lot to you. There are also things that are on the other side of this. I may not talk about everything that I might speculate about, because I do my own speculations. I may think about them, and my speculations may cause me to come to certain conclusions. And if I were to disclose all of those possible speculations that I have with those possible conclusions, I might limit the flexibility of NextBridgeHydrocarbons management, right? So I will choose not to talk about things if I feel that they're not in the best interest of shareholders or Metamaterials or NextBridgeHydrocarbons management, right? It's a choice I have, right? I don't know things for sure, but if I think that they might be detrimental if I was to disclose certain speculations that I might have, I may choose not to talk about that because I want to give NextBridge Hydrocarbons management the biggest amount of flexibility because they're working for me, right? I want them to be free to have the best, to have the largest amount of flexibility in any possible negotiations that may be going on. Okay, I don't want to box them in, but I want them to know that I will try to maximize their opportunity for success because their success is my success and it's your success too, right? That's just the way I operate, right? So just FYI. If you know what I'm talking about at that point, you know what I'm talking about. You don't need to know any more. If you don't need to know anything more, if you don't know what I'm talking about, that's okay, because that means I'm not talking about things so that it will actually benefit you and it will be in your own best interest. Next. That was very nebulous, to say the least. Next, today is December 26th, right? We're going to get the distribution should be complete of NextBridgeHydrocarbons shares by December 28th. That's just 2 days from now. We know that certain people who registered their shares with AST have started to receive their shares. I do not know that anyone who is only with a broker, I do not know if those people have gotten their shares, and those people include me. I am a beneficial owner of NextBridge. I'm a beneficial owner of MMTLP shares, which later on became a CUSIP holding number. But I am owed NextBridge Hydrocarbons shares through my broker, and I expect to get those shares, and I should be getting those shares. And if I don't get those shares by December 28th, that will reveal a certain amount of information to me. I will certainly be having a conversation with my broker, asking them what the hell's going on. And I will certainly be including in that conversation the fact that there's a speculation that there's a large short position, and that short position could be greater than the number of shares. And what assurance can my broker give me that there are, that they will give me my shares, which I am legally entitled to? Right? That is a conversation yet to come. But do I think that there is a large short position out there from MMTLP? Yes, I do think there is. I think that is the reason that FINRA halted trading on with their U3 halt on December 9th, 2022. Certainly, it wasn't because they suddenly found out that people would have. So all of the information that FINRA says that is unexpected, all of that information was well known months in advance, because the S1 was the first S1 was filed in July, right? The last S1 became effective around November 18th. You're telling me that suddenly you were blindsided and you had to do an emergency halt on U3 because you didn't think settlement could happen for some strange reason, even though this information was provided to you months and months and months in advance? No, there was some information that you suddenly received. So I believe that there was some information that FINRA suddenly received. And that information is that settlement would not be possible because there is a large short position which cannot actually be reconciled. And that means that FINRA could be moving forward with securities fraud, because NextBridgeHydrocarbons is a privately held company. You cannot short a private company. And if there are short positions from MMTLP that have not been reconciled yet, that means that there is a potential short position in NextBridgeHydrocarbons. And shorting a private company, that's a no-no. That's illegal. You can't go around doing that. And in fact, the holding back shares of NextBridgeHydrocarbons from legally owed beneficiaries of those dividends, that's illegal. Could that cost brokerages their brokerage license? We don't know. But I will say this much: brokerages certainly know. Their legal departments know. And I don't think they want to put their brokerage licenses at risk in any way, shape, or form whatsoever. Moving forward anyway. The 28th is coming up, so It's just a few days. We'll find out some new information which will empower you even more. You are very empowered right now. You're in the driver's seat. If you're a long shareholder and you're watching this, you are in the driver's seat. You know what's going on. People need your shares of, whatever it is. They need to actually either... So people need to either provide you with NextBridgeHydrocarbons shares, which they probably will not be able to get, or they need you to sell that obligation that they have to you to provide that NextBridgeHydrocarbons share, which I do. Well, I'm certainly not going to sell mine for cheap. I'll tell you that much. Yeah, that's the way things are. So if you note on every one of these slides, slides of this video, I say I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. This information is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only. Let me further add that this is not legal advice also. I'm not telling you legally what to do or legally what's up. I am not a lawyer in any way, shape, or form, though I might start consulting with some lawyers after the 28th, maybe the 29th or something like that, when it might become more self-apparent, to say the least. With all of that said, I want to say a big shout out to Rosa Twill. You all know who Rosa Twill is. She filed a lawsuit in Florida. Thank you, Rosa Twill. I wish you success in every way, shape, or form, because your success will be our success, of course. There are many paths to success in this particular stock play, or this particular preferred share play. And yeah, Rosa Twill's path is certainly viable. I wish her very much success. I don't discount that in any way, shape, or form. It's a very important case, and if it actually comes, if she does succeed, which I think there's a very strong probability and very, very high possibility that she will succeed, it will be I believe it will be a landmark case. I believe it will be a huge win, quite possibly one of the most important cases of her career, and quite possibly one of the most important cases in securities law. Okay. Anyway, let me give you some further perspective on myself. Okay. I've bought NextBridgeHydrocarbons. I've bought stock symbol MMTLP. So I bought the MMTLP shares a while back. I have not sold a single share since I found out about this opportunity. I've only increased my position. Okay. I do not regret not selling a single share, even when the price was $12, because to me, I expect to get a lot more than $12 out of this. Okay. And if I had to do everything all over again, chances are I'd probably do exactly the same thing that I did. Okay. And the only possible difference is I might have actually scrounged up some additional money somewhere else and bought more shares. Okay. That's where I stand. That's where I stand. I am very confident in the situation, and I'm very confident that the situation will resolve itself in such a way that I can look back on this and I will be very, very pleased with the outcome. Okay. I have extreme confidence in John Berta. I've done some research on Clifton DeBose. I have not met him personally. I do not know much about him, but the research that I have done about him leads me to believe that I have a very strong level of confidence in Clifton DeBose and what he will be doing. He has a law background, and I'm sure he's very well aware of what's going on and what needs to happen. With all of that said, let's see. Oh yeah, I mentioned that there is a great management team at NextBridgeHydrocarbons, more than just Clifton DeBose, of course, and that's a really good thing. They're working for our benefit. They're working for the benefit of every single shareholder, and John Berta had to leave the advisory position, but I'm sure that if they needed some advisory help from John Berta, they could probably reach out to him and get it. It could be part-time, it could be whatever, but if they need him, I'm sure he's available. So not to worry about anything in that respect. The management team there is top-notch. And the thing is, about John Berta, everything that he's said has come to pass in a way that makes sense. So I have extremely strong confidence in John Berta, right? His description of what happened with the original MMTLP shares, how they became trading with the two market makers. It makes perfect sense. It agrees with an original speculation that I had a long time ago. And I am impressed by everything he had to say. So as a result, I have a strong level of confidence in NextBridge Hydrocarbons management because I believe John Berta has a strong level of confidence in NextBridge Hydrocarbons management. Not only that, the history that I've seen over the last year, I've only known this stock for about a year and a half or so, but the history that I've seen with John Berta over the last year and a half or so has been, it's been, what's the best word to put? The history has been, let's see. The history has been such that everything he said basically makes sense and it comes to pass. And so I really believe everything that he says at this point in time. I believe he has certain knowledge, of course, that I don't have, that you don't have, etc., and all that. But not only that, his speculation about what may be the case and what may be happening in the future, I believe in that as well, too. Because he's got a track record. Okay, as far as I'm concerned, he's got a track record of being right. And once you have a track record, you keep being right. That's just the way I look at it. Okay. Now, it's in my nature to play what-if games, right? I like to look at all possible outcomes, and that's what I do myself. I speculate on a variety of different things, and I look at all possible scenarios. That's just the way that I look at it. I can look at scenarios from one perspective. I can look at scenarios from another perspective, a third perspective, and see if I can find a way in, a way out, etc. That's just what I do. That's why I'm able to speculate about things possibly in a slightly different way, right? I don't, even though I am vested in this particular stock, I can play the other side of the game and try to figure out what, I can try to switch roles and try to understand what would somebody do, still keeping within the rules, to see what possible outcomes there are. Part of why that's important is if you need to break the rules or if you need to do something unexpected, like this U3 halt. I did not foresee a U3 halt coming because it made no sense to me. It is not the best move that the other side can make, okay? It is actually, it's a panic move. When people panic, that tells you a lot about what your own position is, okay? When this panic move happened and the panic move continued, that indicated to me that these guys were unprepared for this. They didn't know. They literally did not know what was going to happen. And by these guys, I don't mean the short sellers. I mean FINRA. I mean, FINRA is a much bigger player than these puny ass short sellers. To be honest, they're tiny fish. Okay, they can and will likely be sacrificed for the greater good. Okay. So yeah, that's right now they're probably trying to figure out which short seller they're gonna, or which person, which entity they're gonna hold as a sacrificial lamb to be sacrificed in front of the audience of the general financial public and say, hey, it was that guy's fault, and he needs to be strung up and whatnot. But the fact that FINRA called a U3 halt an emergency halt indicated that this stuff was not, what's the word? The stuff was not expected by anybody. And the fact that they have not undone their U3 halt, there was no plan to do a U3 halt and go down this path. This was unexpected. The fact that they went down this unexpected path indicates the sheer level of panic that's going on. It's a form of verification to me to that we were right. Okay, do I know what the short position is? No, of course not. Nobody knows. Okay, the system is set up such that nobody would know what the actual short position is until it needs to be fully reconciled, right? So we will know shortly. Well, I won't know shortly, but when brokers come to NextBridge Hydrocarbons asking for shares, the amount of shares that they will be asking for will mean that NextBridge Hydrocarbons will know what the short position is, because that'll be exactly the number of shares they'll be asking for. Will it be very large? I expect it will be large. And this is one of those cases where the larger the number, the more they can ask, because the more in trouble the actual, the actual people who need to deliver those shares are. Right? You don't U3 halt for a short position of 6.5 million shares, which was the official position. I think, what was it, 4.5 million shares? There's supposedly, 165 million shares or so. You're not going to do a U3 halt for 6.5 million shares. Does that make sense? Does that really make sense to anybody? No, of course not. You don't do a U3 halt for that. You do a U3 halt for, I don't know, hundreds of millions of shares. It's, again, that U3 halt disclosed a lot of information to me, and that's the perspective that I come from, right? Anyway, so with that, I just wanted to say happy Boxing Day, happy day after Christmas. I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. This information is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only. If there are things that I am not talking about, it's probably because I want to maintain maximum flexibility to NextBridge Hydrocarbons management in whatever possible negotiations they may or may not have in the future. And if there are things that I have speculated about if people come to you asking for shares, and what I might do, it's to give you the best possible negotiating position as well too. I certainly know what my negotiating position is, and I will definitely not be selling my shares for cheap. And I wish you success in your endeavors. With that, again, I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. This information is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only. Goodbye.